It's a smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It's a Monday morning, 14th day in the month of October 2024, 32 minutes past 7 a.m. You're listening to the Smooth Breakfast. This is Ayokunmi here, ready to take you into the papers and take a look at what has been going on all across the dailies in Nigeria. This is freshly pressed. Analysis is going to come, and of course, all the major stories you will be getting perspective and, of course, breaking everything for you to give better understanding. Welcome along to the journey. It's an interactive one, as it always is. So we're looking forward to you sharing your messages with us on 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 0981. That is the WhatsApp number. We're also streaming live on YouTube. It's at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. If you're on the app, I just want to go through your browser. It's youtube.com/Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Joining me to analyze the stories this morning are Mr. C and AB Bozimo. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Great to have you in on a Monday morning.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C. Good morning to all of the wonderful listeners out there.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, AB. Good morning, Lagos. Let's get cracking.
Let's get cracking, and cracking we shall, because there's a number of things to actually get through this morning. Very interesting developments that have come up over the weekend. And we're going to begin talking about, of course, petrol. That is still a hot button topic at this point in time. And Serap have been speaking once again. Mr. C, let's begin in the Vanguard this morning. Now, Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project, Serap, has urged President Bola Tinubu to direct the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, that's the NNPCL, to immediately reverse the second increase in petrol price in 1 month, pending the hearing and determination of the suits before the Federal High Court in Abuja, challenging the legality of the powers of the NNPCL to actually increase petrol prices.
Okay, thank you, Ayo. So let's walk back a bit. Sarah, sometime last week, due to the suit, challenging the frequent and consistent increases in the prices of petrol in Nigeria. That suit is ongoing. We then witnessed what happened sometime last week when the price of petrol jumped from about the band of 850, 950 to about 900 to 1,200, depending on what part of the country you live in. Now, SERP has asked the president to walk back the latest increase by directing the NNPCL to go back to the previous price, pending the determination of the pending suit before the Federal High Court.
Right.
Now, SERP has good intentions, and that has been demonstrated consistently over the years. However, in this present instance, I'm not sure the president can walk it back, even if he wants to. Now, this is the reason, right? We have a shortage, or we are facing petrol scarcity in the country. For whatever reason, between the NNPC owing foreign traders about $6.8 billion, which they haven't informed Nigerians on how they intend to clear it or if they started offsetting that debt, to the fact that none of the state-owned refineries still work, to the fact that the Dangote refinery is not being helped to get all the crude oil it needs to meet its optimal daily production target of 650,000 barrels. Now, in all of this, right, because we still have costs to import petrol, we're at the vagaries of the foreign exchange fluctuations, we're at the vagaries of all the landing costs and charges by the various government agencies, including the NPA. And really and truly, he can walk it back from an economic perspective, because it makes no sense. Nobody's going to import petrol if the prices are artificially low. Now, the market forces of demand and supply have to determine the price. Now, the question or the impression Sarah has is that the NNPCL fixed the latest round of prices. I'm not sure that's correct, because I want to believe there was a mix of demand and supply forces, and that's how we arrived at where we are at now, coupled with whatever the foreign exchange rate is, because it will be one of the indices used in computing costs. So, Sarah, I'm not sure you're going to win this particular suit, from an economic perspective. Yes, from a legal perspective, they're arguing that once a matter has been submitted to the court for determination, it is a trite legal principle that none of the parties should take any further action to frustrate the hearing of the dispute before the court or to render any decision the court will make nugatory. However, this is a real-life issue that is facing every class of Nigerians. There's no class that is accepted. And on the back of this persistent and consistent increases in the price of petrol, we're seeing the cost of living continue to increase, and Nigerians continue to feel the brunt and the burden of these increases, from transport prices to prices of foodstuffs in the market to prices of even services. Everything continues to go up. And it's a real mystery how Nigerians continue to survive on a day-to-day basis. Because if the people who are supposed to hang on, to tighten their belts, who are supposed to be in the tunnel, according to the presidency, waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel, are not even alive to see that light at the end of the tunnel, what then was the whole point of this whole arrangement or this whole program? The government needs to go back to the drawing table, revisit the strategy. You want people to wait and see the fruit of whatever programs you're working on. But I submit very clearly today that the people have to be alive, have to be well to see and enjoy the supposed fruits you continue to propagate. I'm done.
All right, AB. You're muted, AB.
Sorry about that. I am normally somebody who is a first responder of praise to whatever SERAP is doing, because they have, as I've always said, they've done a yeoman's job trying to keep the conscience of the country alive to many of the things going on in this nation. But I'll only have this to say to SERAP. SERAP, is it a president that cannot direct the president who had one job to make Nigeria's refineries work? He is the Minister of Petroleum. He is unable to make the number one ministry under him function properly. Is that the set of people that you think the president will be able to direct to reduce the price? In my humble and solitary opinion, the issues of fuel pricing and supply have completely snowballed outside of the grasp of the Minister of Petroleum, Bola Tinubu, who also happens to function as president. So, Sarah, good initiative, but President Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not possess the means or the capacity to actually address what you said. At this point, Nigerians fundamentally are on their own, because the trite thing to have done before removing subsidy, as before he effected the removal of subsidy, was do what his predecessor had failed to do. First of all, get the refinery. We have had 7 times when these refineries have been postponed. He has not once said a word. Sorry, Sarah, President Bola Tinubu lacks the ability and the capacity to do what you are requesting. He is right now a passenger watching, like all Nigerians, as Nigeria staggers and stumbles from tragedy to bad situation. Sorry, Sarah, I love you, but this ain't gonna happen.
All right, thank you for sharing those thoughts there, AB. Let's talk about matters that have to do with security right now. Heading into the Punch newspaper, the Nigeria to boost its combat capabilities. Now, the aircraft are 24 M346 fighter ground attack jets and 10 AW109 tracker new aircraft to strengthen its capabilities against armed gangs and terrorists. Now, if you remember, in the last 2 years or thereabouts, we had 89 80 AK helicopters as well two Diamond 62 multi-purpose aircraft, among others. Now, we hear that another set of aircraft are going to be acquired. Now, is this going to make a difference in the ongoing battle against banditry, against terrorists at the moment? I mean, looking at the other aircraft and other equipment that we've gotten, has it got us anywhere up until this point?
Okay, as we all know, it is a very expensive business to arm anybody's military forces, and the Air Force is no different. We do have some stories where we have heard of good attacks on our terrorist crew in Nigeria, and they have been successful according to all reports. So the actual measure of whether this new equipment will make a difference may remain to be seen. However, I am always concerned because remember, these are not things you order off the shelf. You don't just go into the store and say, bring me 3 jets and 2 this. You have to place orders for them, you pay, and then there's a production and delivery period before you get them. Here is it. How far have we utilized the existing stock of arms and armament we have? To what extent is it making a difference? This should be something we can tease out from the news reports and all that. And ultimately, what would these extras do? Because the planes don't fly themselves. Of course, we must go and train our gallant pilots. We've had situations where we've heard of planes that have crashed, unfortunately, in circumstances we don't know. Let's look back to make sure that we avoid the dangerous circumstances that have led to some crashes, and let's prepare our the pilots to be able to handle this new equipment. At the end of the day, it's good or possible to just lay a sea of fire onto the ground but these planes must work closely with ground troops and reconnaissance. So the army has to be functioning on all cylinders for the planes to make a difference. That's what I'm saying. The planes are important, but if we don't have the ground information, we have the danger of killing innocents, which are some of the stories we've heard about, where wedding parties can be killed, or people. So it's important that the planes are not seen as a be-all and end-all for the army, but they must be a part of a broader coalition of information gathering, properly sifting it, and then sending such planes to the targets to make a difference. You cannot judge whether or not the planes alone will make big or small difference if the rest of the army is not functioning in sync with them.
There has to be a synergy. I mean, you have all the equipment, all the planes and everything, but you also need the right people to use them to the best of their abilities. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that one, AB. Let's take a quick break right now. When we come back in, Mr. T, I'll be coming back to you. We'll be heading into the Daily Trust newspaper. And of course, we're talking about the Katsina governor who has decided to be a very magnanimous individual. To find out more about that, keep tuned to Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. Internet this morning, man. This because I think when I walk in the studio normally, it's something is wrong with it again.
Exactly, because I can't log in with the other phone, and that's the one I normally. But anyway, and I'm even saying, okay, is breaking at times, so I'm surprised. Anyway, no wahala.
Our internet is causing it.
Which are Mr. C's other stories? Mr.
Number
C,
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Okay.
But I want to chip in on number 2 if we take it.
No problem. Anytime.
This ratio stuff. Welcome back to Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It's the Smooth Breakfast. Ayokunmi here. And it has been a great morning so far. Taking a look at the stories making the rounds in the papers across Nigeria. You can join in on the conversation and share your thoughts with us on the stories we're talking about this morning. WhatsApp is the way you get to do that. 0809-444-0981 is the WhatsApp number. We're also streaming on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can also leave a comment or two there, and we'll take that as we get along. Let me just sneak a message or two in before we get back into the stories. Dami from Alausa says, quick question, how do we properly analyze a system when it is shrouded in secrecy? In the same way, Mr. C can't understand how Nigerians have survived the hardship imposed by our leaders, it's the same way he can't properly understand how our energy industry functions. Dami further says, our leaders have decided that they would rather kill us all, than invest in education, healthcare, rule of law, and infrastructure that prevents conflicts. All right. Abimbola says President Bola Tinubu did not remove subsidy. President Buhari did by not putting it into the budget. Tinubu only announced it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Nevertheless, he could have handled it in a way that it would not bring this unprecedented hardship upon the people. Let me take one more before we get back in. Jerry says, if the president is incapacitated, let him come out and say it. There's no terrorist fighting in Nigeria. We all know what's up. They should just stop this humongous wastage of our scarce resources. That was what President Buhari did for 8 years until leaving office. He told us they were his cousins. That's Jerry there sharing his thoughts as well. Mr. C, let's get back into the stories in the Daily Trust. I can see that you are quite amused. Now, Governor Diko Rada of Katsina State has donated $10,000 for the rebuilding of a 200-year-old mosque in Damagaram in Niger Republic. Now, Special Advisor on Political Matters to the Governor, Alhaji Yao Umar Gwaj, who delivered the donation, disclosed this while addressing journalists in Katsina on Friday. Now, according to Gwaju, who is also Iturakin Damagaran, the historic mosque which collapsed recently will be reconstructed. It seems like Katsina State is I don't know, El Dorado at the moment. I mean, they have $10,000 to donate to Niger Republic. I guess all is honky-dory over there.
Okay, thank you. So, here's the thing. It must be stated quite clearly here that every single individual, male or female, is free to do whatever they want to do with their personal money. That must be made very clear. Now, the challenge I have with this story is that the individual who announced the donation wasn't reading the room. He wasn't reading the sentiment and the mood of the nation, and particularly the states. Nigeria is arguably going through the worst period of its collective existence. Even the Civil War, I dare say, was not as bad as this all over the nation. Yes, there was immense suffering and tragedy in the Southeast, but it wasn't widespread. But here, there is no single geopolitical zone that is not affected. There is no class of Nigerians that is not affected, bar the ones in the corridor of power. To fix for the rebuilding of a 200-year-old mosque in the Republic. The jokes continue to write themselves. Katsina State is not a state known for any known economic activity. In fact, at a point in time, was it last year? Sometime last year, this same governor did state our top state actors had taken over some of his states, and he was calling for help, security help. Now, I want to believe that there are people in Katsina State who are affected by the current, improve the lot, the well-being and livelihoods of people in Katsina State where he governs. Very interesting question. I don't have the answer. Now, I don't even want to go into the source of the money. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. It's his personal money. That translates to about 17 million now, given the current exchange rate. The people in Katsina State, to a very large extent, are they eating 3 square meals a day? Are the schools in Katsina State in tip-top shape? Has it improved the economic activity in Katsina State such that people can go out and generate profitable livelihoods for themselves? Are the farmers in Katsina State able to go to their farms without any disturbance, without having to pay any sort of toll or tribute? Are they also able to harvest without any toll or tribute? What is the healthcare system like in Katsina State? There are many, many questions. And how they thought announcing this donation made any sense is what I'm yet to understand and what I probably will never understand. If they had done this quietly and not reported it publicly, we probably would not be discussing it on Freshly Pressed. But it shows again how disconnected the political classes from the reality of Nigerians today. It's as if they live in a cocoon or a bubble, which is insulated from the nonsense and hardship they've inflicted on every single Nigerian. And if you go around the states, you will find more often than not, there are various episodes or various manifestations of this insensitivity towards the people. And this is a clarion call to this class. I've said it repeatedly that the best class of governors Nigeria ever had was a class of 79. That class was a very progressive, forward-looking group. This current class is not fit to lace the boots of that class. And they need to step up because they have way more money coming to them. And yet we simply can't. Yes, we criticize the central government because it's not pulling its weight very clearly. But the state governments and the local governments are equally not pulling their weight. So in a measure or in a sense, it is the entire political system that is failing Nigerians. And for how much longer the rest of Nigeria has to hang on, hoping and praying for the best, only time will tell.
Only time will tell. I mean, I can just imagine the levels of, should I say, suffering and discomfort out there in Katsina and AB for this to actually come out. And as Mr. C said, it shows a clear disconnect between the realities that the people are facing and whatever it is that those who are in the corridors of power are seeing or experiencing or choose to see and choose to experience.
Ayo, Mr. C, listeners, there was a press conference call. That says it all. This, you call it press conference when you feel you have something worthy to announce. Of all the priorities, of all the challenges the good people of Katsina may be experiencing, this governor feels that this, even with his private money, as we have presumed because of goodwill, even with his private money, he decided that this is the priority. Clearly, I would say it, he has zero empathy or concern about the ordinary people in his state and didn't stutter. He does not care.
All right, Amy. Let's get into the vanguard. We're going to bring up another story that has to do with the oil sector, and it's about Dangote Group actually. And Dangote Group has said it's seeking a floating production, storage, and offloading FPSO vessel with 650,000 barrels capacity for its planned oil production. Now, Dangote looks forward to starting production at its two Nigerian oil assets, that's oil mining leases, OMLs 71 and 72, in the fourth quarter, October to December of 2024, after encountering initial crude oil supply issues with international oil companies, IOCs. Eddie.
Yes, this is a form of risk management. You see, he has experienced very challenging, to put it mildly, circumstances trying to work with the NNPC. The NNPC headed by President and Minister of Petroleum, Bola Tinubu, which has never shown capacity to do pretty much anything well, and has decided that, look, as a measure to help his business, his private business, I should add, he's going to start up his own oil production. It's not as if he's going to create the 650,000 barrels in a day or anything, but he wants to make sure that on any given day, he has some stock. And he's now going to acquire one of those floating oil production vessels so that at any point he can supplement the deals that he has supposedly entered with Nigerian government. You know, Nigerian government has shown so much, what's the word, policy shift. Today they're going to sell in Naira. Tomorrow they're going to be the sole uptaker. Next they're going to cancel it. There are so many policies going from one to the other that all he's trying to do is ensure that, look, whatever the next policy is, I will give myself a fighting chance to maintain some production, some oil capacity to run my refinery. I just want to remind all of us, it's a private business. He may have a primary market here in Nigeria, but the world is actually his market. If Nigeria does, there's a saying they say, You do anyhow, you see anyhow. If Nigeria does anyhow, he will simply produce and sell elsewhere. So Nigeria is the right place with the huge market we have to be his primary source of income. But with the falling purchasing power, with the ineptitude and incompetence displayed within the Nigerian National Petroleum Limited, etc., he's hedging his bets. So it's just a very smart business idea.
Okay, let me quickly jump in. What Mr. Dangote and his group have shown is that with proper planning, proper organization, things will work. And you would think that the NNPCL will take a leaf or a page out of his playbook and apply it to their own operations, but they end up wishing in vain because they simply won't. This is a man who's prepared. He knows he has a long-term plan. The NNPCL simply cannot even tell Nigerians when any of these four state-owned refineries will either be sold or will be back on stream. And that in itself speaks volumes.
That in itself speaks volumes. Let's quickly jump into this final story here, Mr. C, because time has absolutely flown by. Coming out of the Guardian, and this has to do with eggs and meat have cried the persistent rise in the price of eggs and various kinds of meat, especially livestock. Someone who spoke to the news agency of Nigeria in Abuja on Sunday said the price increase was affecting consumption, especially for children who needed the protein. Now, the appeal to the government to assist in covering the high prices to meet the purchasing power of consumers. Mr. C, I mean, looking at these prices right now, a kilo of cow meat, which was formerly sold between 4,005 and 5,000, now goes for between 6,500 and 7,000. It is just ridiculous what is going on. And eggs go for as high as 10,000.
Yeah, it's truly words failed me at this time to describe the performance of this administration because everything can be tied to it. The buck stops on its table, especially the table of Mr. President. Now, we've all seen the rise in the prices of various foodstuffs. Meat, fish, turkey, chicken have been on the increase for the longest time possible. So people actually stepped down to eggs. Now, the prices of eggs have continued to go up. Currently, it's about 6,200, and it will continue to go up because the poultry farmers is saying the rise in the cost of the feed used for the poultry continues to increase along with associated transport costs. Now, why are the transport costs increasing? One, yes, obviously the price of petrol continues to increase. But more importantly, is the continued extortion from the transporters of this agricultural produce by rogue elements of the various state security agencies, from the police, funny enough, to customs, to the army. Everybody is illegally collecting bribes they have no business collecting. Now, people have now stepped down and they're now considering brisket bones. Look, we're getting to a point. Nigeria is dealing with a famine, whether we like it or not. We can continue to pretend and behave like the ostrich with the head inside the sand. But with an appeal to appeal to wait for proverbial light at the end of the tunnel, not telling us whether we're
Nigeria in any form is there's a video making the rounds on social media of the Senate President food, and his colleagues joined him laughing. I hope it's clear now to Nigerians who these people who have grabbed power truly are. Let me take one more because time has flown by. Joseph Menye says, just imagine the Katsina state government giving a Greek gift of $10,000 to rebuild the mosque. The first family is dashing out humongous monies to a university. The son, too, giving the same at every opportunity. And a viral video where the Senate president telling Nigerians to go and eat wherever they see food being shared. That's the height of impunity and shenanigans in government, like a biblical story, the Nigerians are Israelites under the leadership of Pharaoh, APC plus other selfish leaders. All right, we're ready to call it a morning. Thank you all for the messages, and thank you so much, AD and Mr. C, for joining me this morning on Freshly Pressed. Always a pleasure having you to break it all down and give us your analysis.
Thank you. The connection was spotty, but it's great to join you. Somebody said, CSO said, Nigerians are confused. Actually, the presidency and all those around are the ones who are confused. Nigerians are not confused. We know what we want. The government doesn't know what it wants. Nigerians are not confused.
Thank you for having me. And Nigerians, just keep grinding, keep going at it. And
all right, thank you for, and of course, thank you for keeping it tuned to Smooth 98.8 8:15. Looking forward to that with Tega. Don't go anywhere.